Hanson at Otter Creek Farm in Scoville Township in the municipality of Nebing.
Welcome to Stuff You Learn with Luke, with your host, Luke Farmer. All right, so sitting here today with Jack Hanson. We're hanging out in his shop, which is a beautiful shop, by the way, Jack.
Thank you.
My dad would be very jealous. So let's go right back to the beginning. Where did you grow up? Where are you from? And are you from a generational farm family?
Grew up on I guess it was a generational farm. My grandfather homesteaded the place and built the barn, and my father took over the farm. It was more of a subsistence farm than an actual farm as we know them today. When I was a kid on the farm, I still remember using draft horses to rake the hay and bring it into the barn, and it was all loose and done by hand. My father got his first tractor. I can still remember I was 6 years old when he got that, and I probably learned to drive it when I was 8 years old. It wasn't very big, just an old John Deere in those days. But we used to milk cows. It was all milked by hand, all hand milked. We had some machines in the latter years, but we shipped milk to the dairy in cans for the first few years. And after that, when the dairy industry changed, we had beef cattle on the farm, and my mother raised pigs, and my father went to work off the farm, and she sold eggs by the dozen and milk out of the cooler, and that's the kind of farm I grew up on.
Very cool. So, and then you went to college, you went to university, you're a veterinarian, right?
Yes, my parents, I wanted to farm and be on the farm, but there was obviously no future in a farm like that, so my parents, being non-educated, they were clever people, but they never had the opportunity to go to school, and so they encouraged us all to go away and university. And so I, with the love of animals off the farm in the early days, so I decided I'd go for veterinary medicine, and that's what I did.
And you're retired now?
Retired 2 years ago, yeah.
Okay. And so now, when you guys got into farming, or you started farming, you got into beef cattle?
I was fortunate enough to be able to get onto this property that we own now. In the first year after I graduated, having no money but lots of student debt, I was able to buy some drop calves. They were just newborn calves from the local dairy farmers, and bottle fed them to get a start in some cattle, and that's we got the first cows.
Okay. And then you moved into, so is that sort of a by chance that you got into cattle, do you think? We had riding horses. We had riding horses when I went to university. My wife and I used to board horses. We rented a farm in Guelph, outside of Guelph, and boarded horses. So we had two of our own riding horses, and we wanted to live in the country desperately. I'd lived in the university in town when I was in university. Otherwise, I'd always lived in the country. So we both wanted to farm desperately, and I always wanted to get back into cows, so that was the only way I could do it. So okay. So then you went down the road of getting into some really good quality Simmental cattle.
Well, one of the drop calves I bought was some Rimas, and it happened to be a half Simmental calf, and so I raised it and I bred it to a Simmental bull. So I had a 3/4 Simmental calf, and a few of the local farmers that were taking bulls to the test station in Emo, Ontario, those days encouraged me to take the calf there. So I took the 3/4 blood over there, and he topped the sale. I was hooked. Now I have Simmentals. So I took the money from the bull calf and bought a purebred cow, and there it rolled.
Very cool. And then you had Clydesdale horses for a long time.
The draft horses were really popular in the early 80s, and everybody had draft horses. So we had 2 or 3 teams, I guess, of Percherons, but Susan my wife was from Scotland, Scottish heritage, and she came home with 2 Clydesdales from southern Ontario one day as a surprise, and then we switched into Clydesdales, and we used to show them at the local fairs, just for the fun of it. Went to all 3 fairs. We're going Murillo and CLE in Thunder Bay City, and we went in South Gillies, the Heimers fair. They were all hot in those days, and we were showing, probably 30 draft horses used to be out at those events, at least in those days, and
we got started showing, and we liked it, and so then we bred the Clydesdales, and that was fun. So then we started looking for some better Clydesdales, and yeah, and that's how that got started.
Yeah, you had a stud you'd imported right from Scotland.
Yeah, we had local studs first of all, but then the last stallion we had came from Scotland.
Okay. And that's how my family sort of knew you, other than you'd been our vet also, but we showed draft horses together. So now you spent quite a bit of time working off farm in the veterinary world, and you started out doing a mixed practice, moved into small animal later on, right?
Yeah, basically when I came to the area, I took over the subsidy, the farm subsidy, and did, I think, nearly 100% large animals for the first several years. And as the farms were getting, they were already in those days depleted. There was 100 dairy farms when I started in the area, so we had quite a bit of servicing to do, and the draft horse industry was big, and the light horse industry was big, so there was lots of work, but they kind of petered out, and so I gradually started doing more and more small animals.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really ask this question. I have a question on here. I always said, I ask people, why have you stayed working on an off-farm job and not shift to full-time farming? But as a veterinarian, it wouldn't have made much sense to try to farm full-time when you had a job you loved and
I might be a little bit crazy to do both at the same time, but and you couldn't do, and now being retired, I wonder why I didn't start farming sooner because I enjoy it. But, hindsight is always 100%, and I truly never felt like I worked a day in my life. Everything I did was fun, so it was never work anyway, so.
And so now, and the other thing that I was always, this is a question I ask anyways, but you guys always managed to keep a pretty good balance going between your work life and the farm and family. And what do you think the keys to that were?
I guess the key is having a family that enjoys doing what you're doing, so you can all balance out equally well. So if everybody's in the game, it works. If you're not all in it together, it doesn't work. So.
Yeah, I agree. That's sort of what keeps our family working the way it does too. So you guys have you've been farming a long time. Have you had any recognition, like awards or recognition from different associations or?
I think the biggest reward we had in the Clydesdale business is we won. We only had 4 mares at the most, and we probably only ever produced around 20 foals as far as I remember. I didn't count them exactly, but we won several. I think we won 4 first place ribbons showing foals at the Royal Winter Fair, and we also bred that mare. We sold her as a yearling, and she was a grand champion at the Royal Winter Fair.
Right.
So we won the first place ribbon there, and then we also bred an All-American filly too. So we've had we've been recognized as a farmer for having bred some pretty terrific animals.
Very cool. What can you say you've done to make, with innovative practice on your farm to maybe simplify or to streamline things around here?
I guess, all the things that come with an old farm has nothing on it, so built buildings that worked, pole barns for the beef cattle, and renovated the old dairy barn into a calving barn, and obviously we repaired all the fencing, and we made it so I can rotational graze, so I can move the pastures around it, try to be ecologically as friendly as possible with the land, and ditched the fields and done just improving the land in those aspects.
Yeah. So one of my other questions I ask everybody a little bit is if you have anything you want to talk about with farm safety, if you've ever had incidences on your farm or solutions to maybe being more safe. I feel we all cut corners when we're farming, so.
Well, I guess I come at that from a little bit of a different angle. I was 12 years old in a farm, and I had my leg broken in a piece of farm equipment. So I think maybe more careful or more worried about it than a lot of other farmers would be, as what my grandkids can do and what to let them operate because of my own injury that I had as a child. So you try to just be careful. You advise everybody to be careful. You watch.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Don't hurry.
Follow safe protocol.
Yeah.
So now now you've got grandkids that are playing around a little bit with cows with you. Have you got a farm succession plan in place?
No, I guess I'm not sure. I think my son daughter are both interested in the farm, but I mean, it's not viable as a business to live off of, so I'm not sure what they will decide to do with the price of farmland nowadays and stuff like that. You can't make a living doing what I'm doing. It's a terrific way to spend your time, but I'm not sure it's economically a viable operation to look at as a farm. And
Right.
whether they would do something similar, they didn't grow up, well, they grew up on a farm, but they haven't worked on the land like I have, so I can't say that I have that as a good plan.
Yeah. Okay. So now you mean you're selling beef still? What would you say is your best source of marketing? Do you use social media or do you word of mouth or?
I'm a very poor marketer. I'm very poor at that. I don't enjoy that part. I enjoy the genetics. I enjoy the sales. I enjoy that. But when we got the Clydesdales, Susan kept a web page going and she put it up and she had pictures and she did a lot of stuff and we were able to sell horses from California to all over the place because they saw them. I don't do that. I've never tried to market locally. I've never tried to market beef locally. I knew that what I was interested in doing wasn't going to happen around here, so I started selling cattle to an organized structure that did the marketing for you.
Right.
So my marketing is by somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. I know the answer to this question, but some of it. You've had a lot of involvement with 4-H when I was a kid.
Yes.
Are there other organizations you were involved with, and did you do 4-H as a kid growing up, or?
No, there was no such thing as 4-H when not in the area I grew up. There probably was, but not in the rural area where I grew up. It was very much more rural than that. It was not farm country. So there was nothing like that. But I belonged to the Fenderman's Plowing Association. I was president after a number of years. I plowed with the draft horses at the plowing match for years. There was a president of the Dairy Cattlemen's Association for years, so I did that way back when.
And then you and Susan were both leaders with 4-H.
Yes, we both ran 4-H clubs when our children were smaller. We showed 4-H at the Royal Winter Fair. Went down there and showed calves down there too. And the children got their eyes open when they got down there. They showed locally. It was a very different world when you get down to that level of competition. It's not quite the same 4-H as it is when you live in Thunder Bay Rural. So.
Yeah, I remember going down there with dairy heifers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big eye opener. So now, I mean, you're retired from veterinary work. You're still doing the cow thing, but what's next? Have you got plans for the future?
Plan to farm as long as I can. I guess I enjoy doing it every day. It's a reason to get it going, and I can't think of a more rewarding thing to do than go out in the morning and see what's new on the farm. Every day is different, and every day when one season ends, another season comes along. So it's a 365-day project. It never ends. So.
Oh, I like that answer. So now I have some quick answer questions, and you can elaborate on them or not, but they're just quick things. Tractor brand.
Well, my father had Case tractors. He bought them from Dave Vibert years ago, and I have Case tractors.
Okay. Equipment brand, like moving into your hay equipment and whatnot. You stick with Case, or you?
No, I don't have Case in that. I have a variety of different companies depending which ones are newer or better in what they do. So I tend to go for whatever I can buy for a reasonable price, somewhat used.
Something that fits the bill.
Something that fits the bill, yeah. It's I don't want to be, you really box yourself in if you go in with in that sense. With the tractors, if they're all the same, they're easier to maintain. With the farm equipment, you only have one baler, you only have one other rake and so on. So they may as well be individual. They don't work together anyways.
Right. That's what I find at my place. It's just by chance because I do mostly hay, and most of my equipment happens to be New Holland, but it's not by choice. It's just what happens to fall in my lap. Favorite book? Do you have a favorite book?
Favorite? No, not really. No, I can't say that I do. No, I can't. I love woodworking magazines.
Okay. Well, they count. Your music genre of choice?
Country western. What else?
There you go. Do you have an inspirational quote?
Probably do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
There. I like that one. Now, this one's a little, I gotta elaborate when I ask this question, but I have it in here, it's just asking farm organization, but are you involved with OFA or are you an NFU member? Or?
OFA, too, Federation of Agriculture, yeah. Every year.
Favorite drink?
Gotta be beer.
Okay.
More near beer now, but it's still beer.
And then truck brand, and that one's a tough one because you were a Dodge man for a lot of years.
Yeah, I was a Ford man, then I was a Dodge man, and I'm a Ford man again.
Well, it's a full circle, right?
Right, it's full
I
circle.
always say I grew up in a Dodge family, and now I'm driving nothing but GMs. So.
Yeah.
One other one I added in my last podcast is trailer make, horse trailer or stock trailer make.
Featherly.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jack. I feel like I probably could have asked a lot more questions and gotten a lot more info.
Oh, thanks a lot. Interesting thing. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Stuff You Learn with Luke. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it. If you want to keep up to date for the next episode, follow me on Instagram at Stuff You Learn with Luke or on TikTok at Stuff You Learn with Luke. Until next time, this is Stuff You Learn with Luke.